This one just popped in my head. Is insurance a scam? I want you to comment below, but let me tell you real quick a logging story. In my opinion, a lot of it is. I was working this lady's property, and she had done had it logged, but she let a lot of these huge trees, I believe 323 trees. They were huge. It took me 3.5 months, cleaned up. She made a deal, and I work by myself with hands, so any of you guys think I'm lazy, I'll come and show you this, and I wish I could go back in time and let you try to do what I did. And they were huge. I mean, you couldn't reach around some of them. She said, I'll give you the timber if you clean up the trees you cut down, plus all the brush the logging company did with skidders, semi-trucks, everything else, piled 14 feet high. And I did it 3.5 months by myself. Burned it down, everything's clear. Then she had to take a dozer in. She had this fancy fence, this fancy white pipe fence. And one of the last trees I cut, it was huge. The limbs couldn't make logs. And I had a friend of mine come and help me push it over with a son, more than one, with a backhoe. Well, that thing was heavy. It started leaning, and it nearly took the backhoe out. When it come down, one of those big limbs caught that metal fence, and it took 100 yards of that thing down. I told her I don't have no insurance. She said, that's fine, I do. You've done so good to me, I'll take care of it. Well, she didn't intentionally do anything, but then the insurance calls me. Probably, maybe back in them days, $1,800 to fix the fence. I worked fence too, $1,800. And they replaced like 300 yards of it. It only needed 100 yards replaced. The insurance company called and said, well, she told me, she actually gave me my number. You're the one that took it down. I said, well, yeah, but she said it was supposed to be taken care of. And I said, yeah, they fixed, that fence company was 3 times high, $6,500. And I said, they replaced too much. I said, I know fence. And I said, it's 3 times as much. They said, well, you're responsible for that $6,500. I said, no, I'm not. And they said they almost had me agree with, well, Mr. Gaither, we'll work out payments, and if you getting a good tax return this year? And I said, yeah, quite a bit. Well, you get that tax return turned in. I said, I'll tell you what. Unfortunately, my friend that helped me in the backhoe, he passed away. And I said, I'll tell you what. Can you prove it? What? I said, was you there? I said, they was me, my friend, and his wife. And I said, he passed away. And I said, I say I didn't do it. And she ain't going to say the difference. I said, now what do you say? Never heard from him again. Right or wrong, is insurance a scam?